Hey folks, this is Mike from Techaholica, and today I'm bringing you a lesson in some of the gotchas that you might run into when you're scripting in IRC. Now, I'm not a professional developer, but I've programmed in other languages like C#, JavaScript, C++, Perl, Java, and when scripting in IRC, there are some syntax issues that I ran into that I wasn't aware of, and it kind of tripped me up a whole bunch. So I kind of want to share some of the experiences I had. So hopefully, if you're having issues with your scripting, that's maybe something here will help you out. So one of the biggest issues is how important spacing is with IRC, right? So here we have a typical command. So when I type in exclamation gotcha, it's supposed to just print out working to the channel. All right, so let's see how that looks. So on my second window here, monitor here, I'm going to type it in. You can see I typed in gotcha, and my bot picked it up and printed it out working. So that works just fine. But now if I do this, I don't put a space in that bracket there. Let's do this. You don't need to load it up again. You could just save it. I don't know why I did that. So type in gotcha. So now it kind of works, but it doesn't because it includes that bracket there. Now, if I had more lines of code under here, you run into all kinds of issues, and you're gonna have a hard time tracing it back because it looks like it works, right? It actually prints out. It doesn't throw an error message. IRC debugging is kind of weird, and it's not all that great. You gotta just keep printing out messages to the screen. But this might be a hard one to track down if you're not aware of this issue. So make sure you do your spacing. Include want your brackets on its own line by itself, right? Don't touch anything else. So that's how IRC works. Kind of along the same veins are the comments, right? So this is a multi-line comment where anything in here gets ignored. But a lot of times you'll see this is how people write comments, so just to make it kind of like stand out that this is a comment. And usually you have a big long message in here about what this function is doing and input parameters and output parameters and all that kind of stuff. And usually people do stuff like this just to kind of like make it stand out. But if you do this, it breaks. So let's do that. Like you see, I typed in gotcha and nothing happened, right? That's because these guys need to be like this. They can't have anything touching this open and close command. That's how it knows it's a comment. So you can't have anything touching that. So this is how you need to do this. It's like that. So make sure your comments are lined up, and there you go. So now it's working again, right? So this is the comment. It ignores all this. We ran the gotcha, and it works just fine. All right. So another issue we could have with spacing is with the if-else statements. So let's take a look at that. Let me just cut and paste in here. All right, so here we go. When I run the gotcha command, that's going to see if true is true. That should always be true, right? So it should go here to working, and then skip this next section, which is going to go up here to the in gotcha section there, right? So let's see how this looks. All right, so you can see that I typed in gotcha. It returned to working like it should. But then it also did the in gotcha. So it actually went down here and did the alias, which it shouldn't have because this is the else part of the bracket, right? You can see here that an error was thrown saying else unknown command. And the reason for that is that else needs to be on its own line like that. And you can see that when I had it like this and it did the bracket change, it kind of made it a little funky looking, right? This should have been lined up here. So that was kind of a clue that, something was off. So you put this on its own line. Check the brackets, and now you can see that they line up just fine. And this is how the else should look. It's on its own line, just like that. So let's run that now. And you can see I did my command, and it did just this part of the code and skipped this like it should have. I'm going to clear this out here so we don't have any confusions. All right, moving on. So the next one I want to talk about is the difference between entering a command in the middle of the line versus at the start of the line. So here we have gotcha being ran. Actually, I want to update my gotcha alias. So let's do this. All right. So here we go. We have. I'm going to say if gotcha. So this returns true. Actually, this needs to be fixed. That we just talked about that. So if this alias returns true, run this part of it. If it returns false, run this part of it. Right. So this is how it should run. It should work right now. So I ran my command, it ran through the alias, and the alias came up here and said I'm inside the alias in gotcha, return true, and it ran through here just fine and skipped this like it should have. So the thing I want to point out is that the alias needs to have this $sign in front of it. So when the alias is anything but the first word in a line, you need to put that $sign to specify that this is a command. If we're doing just like, if we want to run like this, then you don't need a $sign because it's the first word, and IRC automatically picks up on that, that it's a command because it's the first item on the line. So do this. So there you go. So I ran gotcha. It ran it first by itself, which it ran in here, returned true, but it didn't do anything with true, so it moved on. Now I ran it again. We see the in gotcha again, and it prints out the in working there. So that's how it works. Let's clear these out. Also, you might see sometimes when you're looking up code online that they'll do stuff like this. They have the slash in there. So you can see it works just fine that way too, but IRC automatically knows. You don't need to put that slash in it to indicate it's a command because IRC knows that already. It's the first word in the line is going to be automatically evaluated as a command. So you could just skip that. But if you're ever reading code online, you might see that, and don't get confused on what that is. All right. So next thing we'll look at is, well, really this is more the differences between scripting in IRC versus scripting in IRC for Twitch. So Twitch is a web interface, right? The chat is a web interface. So you can see here that I'm doing all my stuff in here. Even though I'm in my IRC chat room typing here, Twitch is taking that and putting it into this web interface here. So the fact that we're working, let me just clear this out. The fact that we're working in this web interface means that there's going to be a lot of limitations, and Twitch is going to add limitations on top of IRC. So if you're reading how to script and you're looking at different code and stuff like that, a lot of times people are writing assuming that you're just in this interface here. All you're doing is when you're chatting with people, you're chatting in rooms like this, you're running commands, you're working only within this chat interface here. When you write towards Twitch, there's additional limitations that you need to worry about. And so that's kind of a big hiccup that I ran into early on, was that I was trying out these different commands, and I'm looking over here in my chat window, and I'm like, well, nothing's working, So just keep in mind that if you run into issues, it might be the fact that Twitch doesn't allow you to do that. So you can do it just fine in this IRC window, and I'll show you an example right now. So let's so we'll do this. So notice. So if you look over here at like a IRC scripting guide, you see that there's a notice command, right? And basically what it is, it sends a short message to somebody in a private window. So if I did this, technically it should send a message to Tekabot saying hello. Actually, let's change that to Tekaholica because that's who I'm logged in as. So it does that, right? So that's an IRC command, as we just saw. And so now we're going to see what happens when I type in my command. All right, so I type that in, and it should send a private message, but you don't see anything here. There's no indication that a message was sent. And over here you see this notice unknown command. Well, we know notice is the command, it's just not supported in this interface. You can actually see that it actually did send a message. So if I was within IRC talking to Tekaholica, this would work within the chat interface, but it does not work in the web interface to Twitch. Another thing you can do is you can send a message. Right, so instead of saying, usually we do like message chance, so we send a message to the channel. You can also just send a message to a user like this, right? So I can say message Tekaholica and say hello. So let's look at that again. So I'm going to do my command. Gotcha. Once again, no indication that a message was sent to me here. But if you look over here, that in the IRC window, it actually says, okay, a message was sent. It doesn't give you an unknown command, but this method of writing a message to a user within IRC does not work within the Twitch interface. You also have other issues too, like you're only allowed to do like 40 commands a second or a minute or something like that. If you're a mod, then you can write more commands to the channel. If you go over that limit, then you'll be like, I don't think you get banned. I think you just get kicked out for a second, and then you have to log back into your channel. So there's all these other things that Twitch puts on top. Also, you also run into issue where, say, if you did something like if you're testing something like this, right? And I was doing like test 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Now I want to just print out this long thing to the screen. Alright, so I think this is going to work. I didn't test that ahead of time, but I think this is one of those things that's broken. So it's a gotcha. Alright, so it doesn't print it out, but it prints out here in IRC, right? So IRC doesn't care what you print out to the screen. It does anything, but Twitch is trying to stop people from spamming the channel. So if it recognizes a long string of characters that's all repeating like this, it just ignores the request and doesn't print it out to the screen. So this is an issue I ran into one time where I just wanted to test something out, and I printed out this long string that all repeated, and it didn't work, and I could not figure out why. So that's another thing to be aware of. And so anyways, I guess that's it. If anyone has any other suggestions, put them in the chat, and I guess I'll see you guys later. Thanks.